Welcome to Shrimperscast with me, Steve Mansfield.
And me, Paul Hill. On today's mini-pod,
Shrimpers conspire to leave Spireites irate as 13-man Blues end Chesterfield's 13-match unbeaten run.
Jack Bridge, the hero from the spot, and a bizarre own goal deliver all 3 points against the league leaders at a rocking Roots Hall.
Southend United's creative fans are well represented at the Football Content Awards.
And we look forward to a trip up north to Gateshead on Saturday.
Welcome to another episode of Shrimperscast. I'm here virtually this time with Paul Hill. How you doing, Paul?
Good afternoon, Steve. How are you? I'm all good, thank you.
I'm very well, thanks, mate. I'm very, very well. What a result, eh? Saturday.
Yes. Wow. Well, I mean, and it was great on the TV as well, wasn't it? 1-0 down at half time, and I'm thinking, yeah, we'll be lucky to nick a point here. But then it was just brilliant, just watching it all unfold. Yeah. The excitement of the commentators, a rocking Roots Hall. I tried to find you all in the stands. I was keeping a close eye on the telly. And I think I managed to catch you and your wife and kids there. Yeah. And I couldn't find Bernie though. I think he was.
He was at the wrong end. Yeah, he was behind the goal in the north.
Oh right, okay. So, I saw.
Obviously, I made it to the game. I took my daughter and her friend, and my wife came along. And great game, great atmosphere. I have to say, I'd be interested in your take, Paul, having watched it on TV. I didn't think it was the best performance I've seen from Southend this season. I thought, actually, not taking anything away from the result, incredible result. I think a draw probably would have been a bit of a fairer result. I thought first half, we did trouble their keeper, but I don't think we played very fluid football as I'm used to seeing. And I don't think that was particularly because Southend were playing badly. I think it was more because both the teams had really similar styles. So you had Chesterfield trying to get the ball on the floor and play football, and it just sort of cancelled out Southend's usual style. That said, they did have a few good efforts. The keeper, I think, made 2 or 3 perhaps really good saves in the first half. But yeah, my sort of overall impression was it wasn't quite to the level that Southend have been producing so far this season. Did that come across on TV, or do you totally disagree with me? Yeah,
I mean, they both teams looked a bit off, didn't they? And that came across on the telly. It wasn't the prettiest of games, and then both teams like to play football, don't they? They like to get it, on the deck and flying around. And I just thought, Chesterfield edged it the first half. I mean, we did have a good go, like you said there. And then it came out in the second half. Had a little bit of a bite between us. But again, we just couldn't get going. I don't think Chesterfield got going either. I think the penalty really kind of shocked them a little bit, stunned them. And then obviously with a quick freakish goal at the end there, 2 minutes later. I mean, they did try. I mean, Will Griggs' movement, you can tell he's leagues above, isn't he? I mean, he was trying for all the huff and the puff, but I think Paul Cook summed it up. I mean, I don't know if you saw his post-match interview. It was amazing. I mean, absolute class from him saying, they're just an off day for both teams. There wasn't much in it, and all credit to Southend. Yeah. And you do need that bit of luck, don't you, sometimes to win matches? And we've seen it go against us so many times, and it was nice to see it go in our favour for once. Off the, off the goalie, off through the keeper's hands, off the post and in. Result.
I was right. I was right there, and I saw Wes break through, and everyone thought, this is nailed on goal here. And from where I was, he sort of scuffed his finish. I honestly could not understand how it went in. I've tried again watching on the replays, but I still can't understand it. It was one of the weirdest goals I think I've seen. Obviously you've got the benefit on the telly with TNT Sports with the replays and stuff, so I'm sure you've got a better appreciation of it in the moment there, Paul.
Oh, I've watched it about 50 million times on the telly, and that's the beauty of having TNT there. You get it on Twitter as well. You get to see the replays, and Panorama League put it out as well. But it was a great interception from Wes, and as he stormed through, like I say, it looked like he ran out of puff going into the area, and he kind of scuffed his shot onto the leg of the defender, which I think kind of threw the keeper a little bit. He ended up flapping it and then kind of pushed it onto the post and it crept in. But they all count.
They all count. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. They all count. They do. I think going back to the first half, their goal, Will Griggs' goal, again in this, that was right in front of where I was sat, and I don't know what you thought. Looked a bit of a cross, really, to me. Looked like he got sort of lucky. He was hitting the back post, and sometimes they go in and creep in, don't they? And he had a couple of players sliding in. But the mood in the ground was that there was an offside there, and there was an offside in the build-up to that. Didn't think the officials had the best game, to be honest. There was a few calls where you could clearly see, we were in line with the line, and you could clearly see someone was offside, and they just didn't give it. But Will Griggs' goal, would you agree? Did he ride his luck there, or do you think he was picking out that corner?
Yeah, it was. I think so. I mean, the cameras were there, and you could see him mouthing as he went back to his the fella who put it in. He was going, "What a ball! That was what a ball!" I was like, "Nah, mate, that was an absolute hit and hope, wasn't it? Really, you just stuck your leg out." But no, I mean, Will Grigg. I mean, his movement throughout the game, I thought was quite good. I mean, he was unlucky towards the end. I thought if he'd hit that one that just went over the bar there on the volley, that's goal of the season. It was unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, and then referees, sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it, well, more often than not, they get it wrong. But I've always find that when they're under the television cameras, they bottle it sometimes. They don't want to get the big decisions wrong, do they? Or make the right calls. But it's always a bit hit and miss, isn't it? But at the end of the day, mate, we got the result 2-1, win.
Yeah, it all evens itself out with those referee decisions, and probably is an element of added pressure, time to shine, and maybe that gets to some of the officials and leads to poor decision making. One thing that I really noticed about Chesterfield was their physical size. They had about 3 blokes. One of them was called Banks, I think, in the middle. One of their players. Yeah. Massive geezer. A defender. I forget the name and number, but chunky guys. But that said, sometimes you see that and they don't want to play the ball. They don't want to play football. But it wasn't that. There was definitely a physical presence there, and they were a bit of a danger from kind of set pieces and stuff. But they were, they weren't bruisers in the sense of it was, coming down just to sort of hack and slash. They were trying to play football. So I don't think they were particularly a physical side in terms of their tactics.
No, I mean, you can see why they're top of the league, though, can't you, with the quality they've got. And they are a good team. And, like you said, there were a couple of big boys in there. They reminded me, do you remember when Fylde came down? And they were just all giants as well. I think there was only 2 guys on there that were left short of the 5'10".
Yeah, but the opposite in terms of the football, because Fylde, it was just boom, hit the big man and then try and get people up. They didn't do that. They were trying to move it through. And I thought, in some ways, you hope that games like that 2 teams complement each other and you get a really... it wasn't a bad game. I'm perhaps sounding overly negative. I just didn't quite think Southend hit their stride. There was a lot of misplaced passes and stuff. So, but yeah, what a result. I mean, beating top of the league in that form, 13 league games unbeaten going into that game, Chesterfield were. Yeah. I don't think I was speaking to a few people before the game, most people saw it as a bit of a free hit. Circumstances Southend are in, you're not really expected to get the win. So to do that, to pull it off, was amazing.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that result absolutely ruined so many Ackers over the weekend, didn't it? I think everyone looked at that and thought, Chesterfield away at Southend, 2 subs, it's nailed on, isn't it? But anything can happen in football. I was going to ask you, what was the atmosphere like in Roots Hall? Because it really came across on the telly. It was nice and loud and rocking.
Yeah.
They did bring a few down as well, didn't they, Chesterfield?
I think they brought about between 400 and 500. I forget the exact figure. So one of the highest, I would say, this season, if not the highest. But I think some people expected them to bring a few more. But no, the atmosphere was brilliant. The West Stand was rocking as ever. We were in the East, so a little bit more quiet, but everyone was up for it. And just the numbers. I mean, it was over 8,000 in the ground, and everyone was especially once things started going, a bit better in the second half. The mood really kind of picked up, and there was great atmosphere, great day out. So looking at the league table again, Chesterfield obviously still top. They've had an unbelievable season. Southend laying their second loss onto them though for the season. They've only lost 2 games, drawn another 2, and then won the rest. So 15 wins this season. So what an achievement to beat them. We always like to look, don't we, at Southend and where they are versus where they would be. So they're on 24 points, but add your 10 and you get to 34. So we would be above Gateshead, who are this week's opponents coming up at the weekend. We're going to preview that shortly on today's mini pod, so we won't go into too much detail on Gateshead, but I think it's worth saying what an achievement given the situation that the management are in, the squad are in, staff not being paid, the state of the ground, the fans turning out each week, the fans getting the ground ready before the season started. There's just so much that's gone against Southend, and to be actually in 14th position, so comfortably there in mid-table, based on actual results with those 10 points deducted, add those 10 points back on, and like I say, they'd be in 5th place, just below Solihull Moors. I mean, as a lifelong Blue, you must be pretty pleased with that and pretty proud with that.
Well, I mean, what a story. I mean, no disrespect to your Oldhams and Chesterfield, but I'd say we're the biggest club in this division. And everything that we've been through and going through at the moment, like you said, with that embargo, minus 10 points, the takeover. I mean, what a great story this is. Yeah. And I was chatting with Jason Lee in his interview about that. So could you name a team that's had a 10-point deduction and then gone on to gain promotion via a playoff? I mean, what a finish that would be. What an end to that fairy tale. If we could creep into that playoffs end up winning it.
It's the hope that kills
amazing. It is. But I mean, when you look at that division, I mean, we have and we will, and we can beat anybody in that division. Yeah. And, you're going to lose football games. I mean, that's a fact, isn't it? You're going to lose away to Altrincham, and things do happen at home where you have little hiccups. I mean, Chesterfield losing on the way. They're not going to go a whole season losing 2 games. I'm sure they're going to lose a couple more. But, it's just how you bounce back and react. And we do it time and time and time again. We've had injuries, massive injuries, to Cav Miley, for example. And then we've had international call-ups. And we've had to get emergency loans in, and and we still keep finding more and still keep fighting back and just taking it to the league. And if we make the playoffs, I mean, it would be just incredible. I think, we've got go to Gateshead, get a result, and we can look forward to going into Christmas really smashing this. And I can't really see anyone stopping us. I think it's going to just be our own. We're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. I can't really see anyone beating us. Yeah, I think at the moment.
I think pragmatically thinking about the risks. Yeah, the football's great. The results keep coming in. It's all about the squad, isn't it? It's getting that embargo lifted, getting some more bodies in, so that there's an insurance policy. Because, the thing you just mentioned about the international call-ups, I was having a chat with a mate about that, and it's crazy that a National League team is losing. I know it was 2 in the end because Noor Hussain didn't go and play for Afghanistan, but potentially to be losing 3 players to international. That used to be championship teams that would, lose that number of players to internationals. Now it's all the way down, which really shows the quality and the calibre of player that Southend have got, that they're losing 3 people to international call-ups potentially. I know it was, as I say, two on the day.
It just goes to show. Oh, sorry, go on. No, I was going to say, it just goes to show that we can attract good players. Yeah, and I mean, throughout the division, there's clubs that like say have international call-ups and the like. But just imagine if that embargo was lifted. I like what Kev said in his post-match interview there. because he said, he wants to bring people in, but they've got to be the right people. They've got to fit into the group and, buy into what they're doing at Southend. And if you were, a young international footballer that's, out and about, you'd be looking at people like Noor Hussein and Cardwell and Carnu, and thinking, wow, this is all right. This is good. I mean, even Scott Morris got called up, didn't he, to the England C as well. So, and you think, well, yeah, they're a good team. There's good players there. And then there is a story there, and you want to be part of that success, don't you?
Yeah, a good place to go and develop for sure. I think just touching on Noor, thinking back to being at the ground, there was quite a lot of frustration actually with his performance. Not to knock the guy, because I think he's absolute quality on his day. I didn't think he was quite at his level. There's a few mislaid passes, a few little things that didn't come off, and he just seemed a little bit wasteful and a little bit lower than the level that he's normally at. He's probably just dreaming of being away with his international colleagues. Perhaps.
There we are. Yeah, but when you score a screamer, and we know what he's got in his locker, we know how good he can be. And, every player's not going to have 10 out of 10 games.
No.
They're going to have the odd game. And he's got a lot going on with the Afghan team. There's a boycott going on. Yeah. And, he's been suffering a little bit with cramp. I've noticed as games go on, he's really been giving it his all.
Yeah, so absolutely. The fatigue factor, the mental fatigue, all of that's going to creep in. It was just kind of notable. There was a bit of, when the crowd's kind of... Ooh, what's he done that again for? There was a bit of that going on. So just interesting to note that. But no, not knocking the guy. I think he's absolute quality. Generally, he's an 8 out of 10 plus man, isn't he? So
all day long.
All day long. Yeah. So big 3 points at Roots Hall on Saturday. But that's not the only win for Southend's fans in the last week. Last week was the Football Content Awards, and Southend United were well represented, Paul. Am I right?
Absolutely. And you know what? It just goes to show, doesn't it? Not only the quality of the football club and the players that we've got, our content creators as well are absolutely top notch. And it was great to see so many of them represented there up north as well. And across the board, fanzines, vlogs, reporters, podcasts, it's just fantastic, and they all deserve all the credit as well. Well deserved indeed.
Yeah, so there was a couple of winners from the Southend group. So a chap called Liam, who runs Shrimpers TV over on YouTube, received bronze in the non-league video category. So
well done, Liam.
Yeah, well done, Liam. Big congrats. If you don't follow Liam on YouTube, get over there. Give him a little watch and a follow. And our guy at the Echo, Chris Phillips, massive congratulations to Chris for winning the gold in the best non-league editorial. Yeah, really big. And actually, I think that kind of echoes, pun not intended, echoes, some of the other stuff that people have said about Chris and his work. When we were talking to Matt Slater, he was very complimentary, saying, actually, a lot of clubs that have been in crisis, their local papers don't give as much coverage to it as Southend have got. So, well done, Chris, if you're listening. Really, really impressive achievement there.
Yes, huge salutes there to Chris, because I think he's been a constant throughout the dedication. He's given the club, home and away. And I'm always following him on Twitter when he's on the away games as well. It's just great. He still manages to get everything out, even though his internet keeps crashing and all sorts of Roots Hall. Maybe they can sort that out. Maybe get a few more cushions in his box as well. But well done, Chris. Huge salute, sir.
Indeed. Okay, so we will preview Gateshead shortly, but we'll take a short break now.
So, Steve, I was surfing the net the other day.
Okay.
As you do. Yeah. And then I came across Southend City Radio. So our new city has a new radio station. And would you believe I saw mine and Bernie's face plastered across it? What's all that about?
I've done a dodgy deal behind your back and not told you, Paul. No. New city, new radio. Southend City Radio is run by a chap called Stuart, who reached out to us. He really likes the podcast. And we're pleased to announce that we're joining the Southend City Radio family. What that means in the short term is that you'd be able to listen to the podcast over on their website. They're just an internet-based radio service at the moment, but there is a plan for it to go live. And so when the radio station does go live, Shrimperscast will hopefully be a regular weekly feature on the live broadcast. So that's why your ugly mug is all over their website and social media, Paul.
That'll do then. Yeah, I don't mind. It's great. I'm just looking at their website as well. They've got, they are dedicated to the city. So it's always brilliant to be involved in our community. So yes, get over and have a little look at southendcityradio.uk and check out what they've got to say. It's fantastic.
Good stuff. Just a mini pod this week, unfortunately. We don't have a guest interview on this week's episode. We're working hard to get someone in for next week, so do keep your ears out for that. So just a shorter episode. We've reviewed Chesterfield. We've talked about the Football Content Awards. And now it's that great time of the show where we go to Paul for Paul's previews.
Yes, absolutely. Hello and welcome.
The jingle gets worse every week, doesn't it?
I'm gonna have to give you some props, mate. You need a cowbell or something to accompany it, or tambourine maybe. Yeah, why not? We'll get you one for Christmas. But yes, Gateshead.
Yes, another tricky game. They're all tricky at the moment. Another tricky game, Paul.
Yes, indeed. I mean, Gateshead, they're up there for a reason again. Their league form, they've picked it up again in November. They had a bit of a rocky October. But if we go back through October and into November there, they've won 5, drew 1, lost 2, scoring a colossal 15 and only conceding 3. Ooh. And one of them was a 6-0 demolition of Dorking.
Right.
That's an absolute spanking, that is. But looking at their home record in particular, I mean, they've won 3, lost 2. They've scored 11, but they conceded 7.
Right.
So they do concede at home. But we're going up north. It's it's a funny old ground there at Gateshead as well. But we've been up there. We can play up there. We've had some good results up there previous. I mean, we just need again. How are we going to recover from that Gateshead match? I think the confidence is going to be there. We should be without a doubt should be carrying over. I would have thought into that game. So it's all all to play for up there for us to close that gap on them playoffs. And but we need to keep a few of their players quiet because, like I said, they're in the playoffs. They're a goal scoring team across the park. One man in particular, Denanga, he's there. He's quite prolific. He's at 12 in 18. So he looks a bit tasty, as does the midfielder, the young lad Wen. He's got 8 in 18. So, it's going to be a challenge. But as we always say, we love a challenge, don't we? And they're unbeaten in 2. So another record to be smashed there, I'm sure.
Absolutely. It's just about a bit of consistency, I think, for Southend, isn't it? Trying to kind of put that string of wins together again after, there was a real good run, wasn't there, a few weeks back, and kind of trying to get that consistency at home and on the road as well. So fingers crossed for a good performance and 3 points for Kevin the boys.
Well, hopefully. I mean, last time we were there, they smashed us 3-1.
Right.
So, we owe them one, don't we? We've got to go up there and, and say, we need to do them 3-1, I think, all the way up there in Newcastle way. But, I think we're going to be all right. I don't think we've got, like we said earlier on, there's nothing to fear there. I think, eyes are looking at us after that win over Chesterfield. And we just need to kind of, pick a little bit up more on the road. We've only won 1 in our last 5 on the road. We can score. We know that, but we've got to sort our away form out. If we do that, we will close that gap on those playoffs.
Yeah, the squad will be boosted though by the return of the international chaps, Vilhet and Kanu coming back into the fold. So that will obviously help. And taking that win, like you said, taking that Chesterfield win, and the confidence that should give them, fingers crossed, that will carry through to the Gateshead game. So, good luck to the boys, and we hope to have our man Diversity on next week, who will be travelling to the game. So, Pip, if you're listening, we hope to get you on next week.
Tremendous.
Well, that brings us to the end of a mini pod this week. Huge thanks, Paul, for joining me.
Always a pleasure, never a chore, my friends. And yeah, it's been a great week for everyone involved in Southend United. And again, huge salutes to all of our colleagues and fellow content creators there. And if you haven't checked them out, go and see All at Sea Fanzine, Shrimpers TV, of course our man Diversity. You've got the Blue Room, we've got the Custard Splat, and of course our man, the big man at the Echo, Chris Phillips. Huge congratulations to them all. Brilliant stuff.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Paul. And don't forget to follow the podcast wherever you're listening to this. Give us a little subscribe. Give us a little rating or a review. That really helps with the algorithm to kind of push us up and get us out to more people. And biggest thing you can do to help us out, share the podcast with your Southend supporting friends. Pass the pod round. Pass the pod. That's it from me. Massive thank you to everyone listening. Don't forget as well, we've got our t-shirts over on shop.shrimperscast.com. They're in production now. They're going to look wicked. Everyone down Roots Hall is going to be wearing one. They're going to be the new Southend home kit. Yeah, get on there. We're donating 10% of all the proceeds to the Shrimpers Trust as well to help those guys out for all the amazing work that they've done. That's it. Big thanks again to everyone, and we'll see you next week. Up the Blues.
Up the Blues.